It began with a single question, a question that shattered the room like glass hitting marble. Did you enjoy the house I gave you a year ago? My grandfather's voice was steady, casual, but his words detonated in my chest. I froze. My fork hovered midair. My heart thudded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. "What house?" I asked, my throat tightening. "I never got anything." The silence that followed wasn't silence at all. It was thick, heavy, suffocating. My grandfather's eyes moved slowly toward my parents, and I watched as the color drained from their faces. That was the moment the world tilted. That was the night everything burned. For years, I thought my parents were my anchors. They weren't perfect, but they were mine. They taught me about sacrifice, about family, about trust. When my grandfather told me once, long ago, "One day all this will be yours," I didn't care about the money or the property. I cared that he believed in me, that I was worthy. My parents always smiled at those words. Too much, I realize now. Because they knew something I didn't. They weren't anchors. They were weights tied to my ankles, smiling as they watched me drown. The house. That damned house. My grandfather had signed it over to me the year before, a gift for my future, a chance to stand on my own. But I never saw the deed, never saw the keys. Instead, I saw my parents suddenly remodeling. New furniture, new cars, an unexplained vacation. I asked, once, how they managed it. My mother's hand shook slightly as she poured tea. My father cleared his throat too loudly before answering. I noticed, but I didn't push. Then came the late-night calls I overheard. Words like deed and keep it quiet whispered through thin walls. I began to collect details. Not accusations, not confrontations. Evidence. Bank records, signatures, dates. Every lie carefully recorded. And the betrayal crystallized into something sharper than pain, rage. I didn't scream, I didn't collapse. I smiled at them every morning, kissed their cheeks, and played the role of the oblivious child. Inside, I was a blade being sharpened. I didn't want to just take the house back. I wanted them to feel the slow dread of realization, the suffocating weight of exposure. So I waited. I let Christmas Eve arrive, the night my grandfather insisted on gathering us all under one roof, the night he would ask his casual question, the one I knew was coming. I didn't just anticipate it, I built my plan around it. Step one was legal. I met with my grandfather weeks before, documents in hand. I showed him proof, the forgery, the transactions, the theft. His hand trembled as he turned the pages, but his eyes hardened. He signed the papers that gave me full legal control, quietly, without telling them. Step two was financial. I ensured every account they had, every line of credit, was tied to that house. When it came crashing down, it wouldn't just be a home they lost. It would be their foundation. Step three was social. I made sure extended family knew subtle fragments of the truth. Whispers spread, the kind that stain reputations long before the final strike. And then step four. I waited for Christmas Eve. "Did you enjoy the house I gave you a year ago?" The words dropped. My parents' faces turned pale, and I knew this was the moment. My father stammered, We thought it would be—" I cut him off. Calm, precise. "You thought it would be better if you stole it." The room shifted. Gasps. Silence. My grandfather didn't speak. He didn't have to. I reached into my bag, pulled out the file, and slid it across the table. Deeds, bank statements, proof. Every secret they thought was hidden now lay in front of them, bleeding ink. My mother's lips trembled. We did it for you." "No," I said, steady. "You did it for yourselves." And then I dropped the final blade. The house isn't yours. The accounts aren't yours. As of this morning, you own nothing. Merry Christmas. The silence that followed was different. Not heavy, not suffocating. It was the silence of justice. I watched as realization settled in their eyes, the terror of knowing the walls were closing in. The family who once raised me now sat across the table, stripped bare. And I felt nothing but clarity. That night, after the chaos, I stood outside under the falling snow. The house lights glowed behind me, muffled voices still echoing inside. People talk about revenge like it's fire, destructive and wild. But mine wasn't fire. It was ice, slow, controlled, patient. They thought betrayal would break me. Instead, it forged me. And as the snowflakes melted on my skin, I realized something simple. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't scream or shout. It just arrives, quiet, undeniable, and final. And that Christmas Eve, justice came wrapped in silence.